to an emergency segment of the Zimbabwean Perspective Cast. Tonight it is just me, Clint. I will be reporting this alone, as social distancing has, of course, had effects on even how we work here. But to put it into perspective, today's whole podcast episode is all about the coronavirus. We'll try not to make this too long, but we did feel it was necessary for us to all reach out to each other in this trying time that's not just a trying time for Zimbabwe, but for the world as a whole. The COVID-19 coronavirus has had quite an effect on all our lives, especially in the past week alone, where measures are finally being taken by our country, and all those measures are currently putting a lot of us at what I would say very inconvenient or very challenging circumstances where workflows and modern day to day lives have been put on hold. Some companies, such as Econet, are telling some employees to work from home. Schools have been closed, including tertiary institutions. So you've had people traveling back home from all over the country, which some, of course, are skeptical of as well because of public transport. But these are all issues that I guess we're going to go into today. To be fair, as we aren't health experts, we cannot obviously go into the most detailed of information. This podcast session is largely more of to create a spirit of community amongst people to know that we do care, we are concerned, we will give the best advice that we have possible, and we definitely want to give it from the context of a site that has a key focus on technology, especially in a time where, due to this panic, there has been a lot of misinformation, there has been a lot of fake news. We feel that it is our job to speak upon that, as well as to give you the information that we do know, or at least help connect you to the right kind of links or the right kind of resources that will give you adequate and proper information. Just to start off with, out of the three cases that have been confirmed in Zimbabwe, unfortunately, we had the first death today of, we could say, quite influential YouTuber and son of James Makamba, Zororo Makamba. We offer our condolences to his family, and it is an unfortunate and terrible loss. And unfortunately, it's also a very stark reminder of the type of situation we're dealing with here, as it's common knowledge that our country is not, even before this, was not in a good place as far as the health sector was concerned. Our hospitals were a mess, doctors were on strike, things are not great. And now we have a virus that is baffling some of the most advanced and the most prepared countries in the world coming into our borders. So the death of Zora Makamba is unfortunate, not only in the fact that we've lost a life, but in that it really does serve as the biggest reminder that we are not prepared, and that as a country we really do need to keep ourselves safe, because otherwise this virus might spread much more than any of us would ever want it to. Now, to maybe actually go into that, the first thing I would like to say is we still should not panic, because that is not going to make anything any better. The state that we're in as a country is scary. In fact, no, to call it scary would be an understatement. It is incredibly frightening. But panic only makes this a lot worse, and we cannot be a country that panics right now. I believe TZP produced an article last week which was talking about this, and we would like to retract one statement. When we asked how people should act, we said keep your lives largely normal, but be cautious. We were wrong, and we would like to apologize if we gave anyone any false information there. The truth is, our lives cannot be handled as normally as we would like. For the common Zimbabwean in cities like Harare, even Bulawayo, larger cities rather, public transport is something that they use often. And right now, public transport cannot be trusted, especially Zupco buses. These are buses that actually tend to exceed their limit as far as passenger number goes, simply because there's so many people who need them, and unfortunately, what is this? People obviously, only so many buses can be used. I mean, only so many buses can be filled. So you have standing passengers, you have people squashed together. Please, please, if you can avoid using this transport, please do not use it. Not just Supcos, even your combis, even now in cases of Ferrari, you have people using open trucks, like sitting in the back of trucks, but also in very squashed positions. To put it in simple terms, if your life currently allows you to not need to go out, to not need to go to work, to not need to go outside of your home, then please, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who is listening to this, please stay home. It is not convenient, it is not great, but it is necessary in the current state of things and in the current situation. We really are dealing with an international crisis here, and it is one that, again, our country is not prepared for. If anyone is to catch coronavirus right now, chances are likely slim, very, very, very slim. And there is nothing that can currently be done about that. So, prevention is definitely the best, likely the only option right now. So, please, social distancing has already begun in it's begun in most countries around the world now, which have reported coronavirus cases. And here in Zimbabwe, it's still really being properly implemented. There have been reports of apparently police going into town and closing shops that they feel are not as necessary. And of course, there are whole political debates to be had about that. What counts as a shop that should be closed? What counts as a shop that shouldn't be? Not from just the case of the customers wanting to buy from that shop, but from the case of the people who own those stores and sell from there because those are their livelihoods. But right now, if you can afford to stay home, please. Stay home, stay in your house, keep everything clean, keep yourselves clean, wash your hands, do not touch your face. These do seem like trivial and maybe not very effective methods, and it's true. Everyone would prefer a vaccine or a drug or some kind of more advanced solution, but currently, with where the virus is right now, no one has that. We don't have that. The country, the world does not have that. So, what would be best at the current moment is just that we all use these measures as best as possible to keep ourselves safe. The World Health Organization is, of course, the ones who actually came up with most of these measures, or at least made them public and made them the official way currently to keep ourselves safe from coronavirus. So please follow them. I believe the rule is 1.5 or 6 meters of distance when talking to someone. Please do not see that as being rude. It is not being rude. Currently, everyone really does need to keep themselves safe. We cannot risk any more people catching the virus. Containment is the only thing we can do right now and stopping the spreading. So please, let's actually focus on that. And as I've already talked about, actually, the World Health Organization, this actually brings us to the case of misinformation. The country is in panic. We all are in a state of panic. And it's understandable as to why. But the one thing we should not do is to continue to panic. Panicking only leads to misinformation because people will take their sources from everywhere, really, in this case. Uh, there have been a lot of stories, there have been a lot of rumors, there have been a lot of chain messages on people's WhatsApps, and they're of course spreading because people are concerned, right? You hear something and you want to spread it to your family, you want to spread it to your friends, trying to see maybe trying to rather make them see what you've seen simply just to share information. But unfortunately, what always happens in these cases is that you have nefarious characters, let's call them that, bad actors. People who either have the most sick sense of humor or are trying to start a scam or are trying to just cause problems for people, even in such a time. And it has been causing issues lately all over the world. A lot of these rumors that you're seeing did not start here in Zimbabwe, but all these scams are trying to find their way here. I remember, sorry, I remember recently. No, I do not have coronavirus, people. That was literally clearing my throat. But I remember just a recent message that was talking about how you have to, what Shona people call kufugira, cover yourself with a blanket, inhale steam. And this would be clear steam, totally clear steam, but for water that was apparently boiling over 100 degrees Celsius. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're trying to inhale steam that's over 100 degrees Celsius, you are going to burn yourself, burn your skin, breathe in air that is steam that is definitely likely going to hurt your lungs. To say it's not pretty would be an understatement. You will harm yourself, and you need to be careful right now. The World Health Organization has set up a website. They've worked with Facebook to set up a WhatsApp chatbot. They are also working with Google and Microsoft, who both now have their own exclusive coronavirus websites. And the job of those websites is literally just to track cases, literally just to update people with information, to make sure that people get the right information when it comes to this whole pandemic, because it is very easy to get the wrong one. I am not discounting every rumor that is out there. I, after all, am a human being. I do have my own fair amount of suspicions and my own fair amount of beliefs, but in a time like this, facts are best, and sticking to facts is what we all need to do. So please, we just put up a website, I mean, an article this morning about the websites that Microsoft and Google have that are reporting on the coronavirus. You can go check those out. They, I think we might put them in the description below just so that you guys can reach them, along with the World Health Organization website. If you haven't had the opportunity to also gain the WhatsApp chatbot in your contact list, we'll see about doing something about that as well because we really do want to make sure everyone has access to the right information. Again, it's pivotal in such a time. We cannot stress this enough. There have been scams that have been getting people, what's it called? That have been getting people stolen from in the US. There have been rumors here that are just starting all the wrong kinds of social issues. And on that same note, we understand that everyone wants to remain safe. We understand that everyone wants to protect themselves, but please, let's not let the coronavirus be a reason for us to show prejudice, a reason for us to show any form of racism. So if you meet an Asian person or a Chinese person, wherever you live, please, we understand fear. We all understand fear, but please do not treat them in a way that is going to make them feel like they're a complete burden to the rest of the world around them. After all, they are people just like us, and yes, there might be a chance that that person has coronavirus, but let's not act like every Asian person has it in the same way that the basis of racism was formed on rumors about certain races, and then everyone would be reacting to each person of that race in a certain way because they expect them to act that way, or they expect them to have that thing, or they expect them to, just be dangerous or negative in some kind of way or inferior. So please, as much as we're all scared, as much as we all definitely need to stay safe, let's not let the coronavirus become a pretense for any form of prejudice of any kind. Even those who have traveled. Yes, they unfortunately will probably need to be quarantined for a time, whether it's self quarantined or even put in any version of a facility. But let's not treat those who we know who are traveling or have traveled as if they're suddenly, how can we say this? There's something wrong with them or there might not be. It's a very touchy issue, and I can't begin to tell everyone exactly how it is supposed to go. But what I do know is that this virus should not be a cause for people to just have more divisions around themselves, which, yes, is ironic considering we now live in a world where there's social distancing and that is the preferred way to go. But even if in a time where physically and in terms of distance we should be divided, we definitely should not be divided in spirit and in our manners, please. And perhaps just to round that off, we are also going to look at going on to facts about the virus itself. Currently, the number of cases totally around the world is 359,001 cases, with approximately 242,923,000 active cases, uh, around 100,645 recovered cases, and unfortunately 15,433 fatal cases, or in other words, cases that resulted in death. Um, these are spread out over, of course, the whole globe. And based on statistics, the virus has been more fatal in Europe, in Asia, of course, and in the United States. Now, cases in Africa are, of course, cropping up, with seemingly the largest number of cases being in South Africa, which has 402 total cases. Currently, two have recovered. Senegal also seems to be close by with 67 cases, 62 active one, and 5 which have recovered. Burkina Faso, 99 cases and also 5 recovered cases. Nigeria, currently 36 cases with 2 recovered cases and 1 fatal case. And of course, here in Zimbabwe, 3 reported cases overall and 1 fatal case. Again, in the case of Zoro Makamba. Unfortunately, as we said, the virus currently has no exact treatment or any vaccine. In other words, no real cure. Clinical trials are known to be going out throughout the world. And of course, what happens in the case of clinical trials, they need to be sure that the drugs or the vaccine that they do come up with, or any answer that they do come up with, is totally safe to use in almost any case for all people currently. So clinical trials have just begun in Boston, and the leading company apparently is a company called Moderna. Yeah, Moderna, to be exact. My mistake. But even if this trial goes well, which is apparently being performed on 45 volunteers who are apparently healthy, um, the oh, sorry, even if this does work out, they do plan to test the vaccine rather further, which would still go on for another 12 to 18 months. And that's why, of course, they are planning to scale up production so that it can be distributed to the rest of the world. Essentially speaking, we still have at least a year before we have a proper vaccine. We can work out perhaps a treatment. That is likely, but what can be seen here is that the effects of this virus are not just going to die down overnight. This is going to take a while. This race is going to be a long one, unfortunately. And on that note, the same rules still apply. We should all definitely look after each other better. We should all definitely look out for each other. We definitely should not be looking for any sort of conflicts with anyone of any color, of any gender, of any race. We definitely should not be trying to have any problems amongst ourselves. This is a time where the world needs to pull together. So let's all work on that. And again, comes down to this: stay home if you must, please. If you can, rather, because you must. If you do have to cough, cough into your elbow, please. Wash your hands often. Wash them with soap. This is why, of course, hand sanitizer is becoming popular and the norm everywhere. It's a must, it's needed. Do not touch your face. This, of course, is the one that most people do tend to skip. But please, keep your hands clean. Do your best not to touch your face as much as possible. And keep a safe distance, 1.5 meters, 6 feet. Let's all please do the best we can to keep ourselves safe. And of course, again, we will put links for the World Health Organization website below. We will put links for Microsoft and Google's organizations and likely the number for the World Health Organization WhatsApp. Let's again keep our information coming from the right sources, please. And let's not try anything drastic. If you do suspect yourself of having coronavirus, please go get tested. Even here in Zimbabwe, where we all keep saying the hospitals are terrible, it is better to have tested and to find to find ways of going into quarantine, even if it's self quarantine. You all need to be safe. We all need to be safe, and no one wants to feel like they're the burden that has the virus. But if you are in a case where you need help, then the best thing you can do is rush to get it. So please, let's all do our best here, and let's all keep each other safe. Let's all keep ourselves safe. If we do that, then we can survive this. In fact, we will survive this. We just have to continue to hold on. And that's asking for a lot from especially Zimbabweans. I mean, we've gone through what everyone would call the most. And maybe even that was our biggest problem because now, when people were being warned about the coronavirus, we were just acting as if, oh, please, we've taken on a million problems, we can take on one more. But this is different from most of the ones we faced before. So, as much as we are all arguably some of the toughest people on planet Earth, we all still need to be very, very careful of how we go about this. Please, let's not let this be a chance to hear more stories about corruption. Let's not let this be a chance to hear more stories about extortion. Let this actually be the time that Zimbabwe proves itself to be one people that can work together, regardless of what you're hearing, regardless of what rumors you might know, what inside info you might know. This is a time where keeping yourselves and, in essence, now in extension, the people around you as well safe is more important than knowing more than the other person or being better advantaged. In fact, let's not try to do that. There's no point turn ourselves all into savages and just compete against each other. Doing better against each other will help more. So let's band together. Let's be the country that I believe a lot of us want to be. And let's do our best to stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Thank you for, in extension, taking the time to perhaps use some of the information you might have gotten here. I would also like to thank every Zimbabwean that's doing their best to spread information about this. Make sure it's the right information. Please fact check. Please check your facts. It's okay to not know much as compared to seemingly know a lot, but it's the wrong information. Um, there have been other Zimbabwean media outlets, creators, you have podcasts, you have YouTubers, all trying to send out the right information about the coronavirus and all trying to inform us on it. Again, you all have our thanks, you all have our respect. May you all stay safe and may we all get through this together. Thank you.